All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very, very special guest with us on the Smash Bashed Yet Not Dashed podcast. Someone who influences tens of millions, if not billions, okay, with the 10x movement, rated as the best, okay, like the best sales trainer in the world, author of 8 best-selling books, right? Runs multiple companies with assets over $2.3 billion. Okay, that's billion with a B under management. He's also the star of the super hit series on Discovery Plus called Undercover Billionaire. It is my honor and pleasure today to introduce the man himself, Grant Cardone.
Thank you, my friend. So excited to be with you and humbled by your presence and your audience, and so much. I have so much love and affinity with India, your country that you come from, and I'm hoping his Discovery dropped the show Undercover Billionaire there yet?
Oh, it has, in fact. And this morning we just saw episode 3, so it was epic. And we are going to talk about that. And just to put this into context for everyone else, okay, this is crazy. If you haven't already seen Undercover Billionaire, everyone needs to get on the Discovery app, download it, and see it, right? So what's happened is Grant and I today are talking about Undercover Billionaire, a show where he was dropped in a city where nobody knew him, right? A city where he had to shave his head, change his name from Grant Cardone to Louis Curtis, right? And all he had was $100, like $100, right? Just that $100 bill. He had a mobile phone which had no contacts, and he had an old truck. That is it. And with that, he had to build $1 million business in 90 days. And that is just crazy, starting with just $100, right? So, Grant, my first question to you straight up, right? Undercover Billionaire, you had to change your identity and start from literally nothing, right? How was that for you? And what were the biggest challenges there for you first up?
Yeah. So look, this is the challenge that most of the world is going through every day. They don't have contacts, they don't have money, and they don't have a name, right? You don't have a name. Many of us don't have products or services. Like, where do we get started? So when Discovery came to me and said, could you do this? I was so excited because the number one question I get wherever I travel, I've been all over the world. We did 19 countries last year. And the number one question I get is, if you lost it all, what would you do? And when people are asking that question, they're basically saying to me, look, I don't know where to start because I don't have anything. So what I did in this with Discovery was, I'm like, I cannot wait to do this. Where are you going to drop me off? They said, we're not going to tell you until you get there, so you can't prepare.
Wow.
We will strip you of your name, your contacts, your credit facilities, your banks, your connections, your employees, give you $100, and you have 90 days to create $1 million business. And I said, let's go, let's do it. In fact, I was so confident I could do this. And I know this sounds insane. I was so confident I could do this that I bet $1 million to Discovery that I could pull it off.
I love that.
And the reason why, and I want everybody to understand this listening, if you don't have a name and you don't have a service or a product, you don't know where to start, you don't have money, you don't have credit, all you need is strategy. You need a specific strategy of how you're going to do this. The fact that I only had 90 days was a benefit to me, not a detriment.
I love that.
A lot of people think that 90 days was a problem. Okay, Discovery even thought, okay, we're only going to give him 90 days. That's going to make it harder. That actually made it easier. Right. Because when I only have so much time, now there's no time to fool around. There's no time for procrastination. There's no time to spend time doing stuff that doesn't matter. To do this, to pull this off, I did have to do one thing that a lot of people seem to forget. And that is, I had to get my family on the same page. I told my wife and my kids, for 90 days, I need my full attention on this. I need your full support. There can't be any crying. I miss Papa. When's Papa going to come back? I need you guys to flow power to me for 90 days so I can pull this off. Because if I do, I'm going to inspire a lot of people. And I'm going to debunk the idea that you need money, you need a name, you need I didn't even have a place to sleep. So I had to figure all that out.
Right. Yeah. In fact, it's interesting that you bring up, Elena and the kids, and I know how close you are as a family, seeing you over all these years. How was that? How hard was it staying away from them, especially seeing that COVID was now, raging through America and you had to spend all this time away? How hard was that for you?
Look, I love my kids so much, and I've created a life where I started having family late in my life. I'm 62 years old. I started when I was 51. I got married when I was 51. We had kids. I got married when I was 50. We had kids at 50 and when I was 51. And so I've spent every day with these kids and my wife for the last 11 years.
Yeah.
I've missed none of it. Like literally, if I've been gone more than maybe 30 hours without my family, I'd be surprised in 11 years. So I've created a lifestyle where I could spend time with them. This morning I was boxing with Sabrina. She hit me under this eye right here. You can see the bruise.
I see that. Yeah. Wow.
And like, I love time with them, right? So I underestimated how painful that was going to be for me.
Right.
I thought I was going to have the kids out within 2 weeks of getting dropped off in the city. I was not able to bring them out for 84 days. The environment I was in was fairly unsafe.
Right.
This was not a wealthy city in America. It was a poverty. The city's been struggling for 100 years. It's called Pueblo, Colorado. And there's only, the average person there makes, doesn't do well. The average household does very poorly by American standards.
Right.
The unemployment rate, and that's before COVID, by the way. I started before COVID and then COVID hit. So the unemployment rate there was 9% when I got there. It would be 29% after COVID.
Damn.
So it was a very difficult environment. It wasn't safe for my kids. I couldn't bring them out there. That was probably the most painful thing. In addition to 15 degrees, no heat, no food, no water, no shelter. I'm scared every day. And the thing that a lot of viewers, I think, are missing is I have this great life.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of the life that I've created. But when you've created this life and then you got to go back to another life, man, it is by choice. It's not like it was all taken away from me.
Mm.
It was still there waiting for me, right? It's like you want to quit eating desserts, right? And yet somebody keeps bringing you great desserts. That's what the entire 90 days was like, because I still had my life calling.
Right.
And I wanted to quit every day, to be honest with you. For 84 days of the 90, I wanted to quit.
Wow. Yeah, it was hard because I've been watching some of those episodes and I just want to know what kept you on track, because in the first episode you had no toothbrush, right? You were actually using your fingers. It was a very Indian thing to do in a way, because it's very Indian toothbrush. And then you had no cutlery and no crockery. Like even in the microwave, you're putting the toast in the microwave and you're like, you have no plate to even put it on. So that's just crazy. I mean, I know people who cried when they've seen that episode. They're like, Cardone is having to do this. Right. So what is it that kept you on track? I know you didn't even have your 10x planner, because that would probably give it away, but you were writing a lot of notes and stuff. So what was it that kept you on track, through all of that?
Look, I mean, what you really don't see is that every day I woke up saying, I'm done. I'm quit. I'm going to quit. Every night I would call my wife. I can't do another day. The other thing that you don't see is I'm fighting with the crew the entire time. Like there was so many things that you don't see as a viewer. If you guys saw as a viewer, like if you really saw behind the scenes, none of this is produced. Mm-hmm. Everything that happened. And the things you don't see, like the cameras would help most people. They did not help me. Because what happened is I had to shave my head. My head was completely shaved.
Right.
And because otherwise I would have been discovered. Had I brought my family, I would have been discovered even more quickly.
True that.
And if I got discovered, like if you and I were doing a deal and later you found out I was Grant Cardone, that deal could not be included in the evaluation.
Ah, interesting.
So like I had to stay undercover. When the camera showed up, it creates a lot of attention.
Right.
And so I'm having to kind of hide and not be me. Right. So I can't use my name. You got to remember, I cannot use my name. I cannot tell anybody that I've been successful.
Right.
So, dude, every day I wanted to quit, Gaurav. Every single day I wanted to quit. Yet the target, 3 things that I do. 1, I get a big target. 2, I make it public. And 3, I have a bet on myself, something that's either it's gonna give me a big score
Mm-hmm.
or it's gonna be a big punishment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's always there for me. The target was $1 million business. I'd made it public to Discovery and my family and my employees. Some of my employees here knew I was doing it. And 3, it was going to cost me $1 million if I missed it.
Well, that is big money. And you keep saying this, and I know you keep saying this in the show, that it's more than the money. It's about, I need to walk the talk for my people. I need to walk the talk for the 10X community. I mean, if Grant Cardone has been saying this for the last now 35 years, now you're walking the talk, right? It's almost going back to when you were 25, 26.
Yeah. This was an opportunity for me to prove to people, you don't need money, you don't need contacts, but you do need a strategy. You need a specific strategy. When you see the results of what I create, you're going to be, as a Grant Cardone licensee, you're going to be so proud of me, dude.
Oh, we already are, and we're so grateful for that opportunity, of course. So, tell me about this one time, and it happened at the end of episode 2, where, you're being told that, okay, we're shutting the show down because of COVID. And you're just so angry because you've just taken the 10K from Matt, right? And you're like, a commitment is a commitment. I need to keep the commitment. So how was it like? What was it like for you at that moment? Because you can make out the show. You're really, really angry right now.
Yeah, like I was, the viewer doesn't even see how angry I am. I mean, Discovery had to call me because I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm going to continue. And they're like, you don't understand. The cameras are leaving. COVID is happening. The country's being shut down. We cannot be here. What actually happened was the crew couldn't leave and go back to LA. There was 20 people on their crew. They could not get back into LA. I snuck out. My plane came and picked me up, and I left out of Colorado, flew back to Miami. They couldn't even get back.
Damn.
People got sick there. They were quarantined. People were hospitalized. I mean, it became a big deal for the crew. So I did not understand at the time. You got to remember, this is before COVID was understood.
Yep.
This was before 40 million people in America were unemployed and 1 billion people around the world were unemployed.
True that.
This was before any of the deaths. Nobody had died yet. I think there was a handful of deaths out of a healthcare center up in Northern California, but it hadn't become the pandemic, right?
Yep.
And so I'm like, no, I'm not stopping. I just got my first score. And so often this is what happens to people, right? You get a little bit of momentum and then something happens. This is what happens in real life. And that's why I'm so proud of this show, because this is the reality.
Right.
People underestimate. This is exactly what 10X is about. 10X is about, you need 10X the actions, 10X the customers, 10X the money that you think you need, because something is going to happen.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, something's going to happen that either tests you, makes you better, challenges you, or takes you down.
100%. Another question I want to ask you, and this is, again, it happened in episode 3, and you're sitting with Matt. You've come back to Snap Fitness. You've already negotiated with Brian for the lease, so you need $2,000, and you haven't cashed the $10,000 check yet. He's already hired the marketing team, and you're sitting across him, and you're looking desperate, right? And the first rule of prospecting is the more desperate you get, the worse the result. And you're looking desperate. You're saying it yourself. I'm looking desperate, and you're asking him, "Can I cash the $10,000 check?" Right? And until he said yes, I mean, what was going through your mind at that moment? Because I thought that was like an epic moment for the 3rd episode.
Well, so Discovery asked me, when they cut the show off before episode 3, and I haven't seen it, by the way. You guys have seen it before we have in America.
Oh, wow.
So congratulations. But when I got the check and they ended and said, you're done, you get time out, I didn't cash the check. And the reason I didn't cash it, I didn't know if I was going to be going back. I thought it was over. Like if you really watch and say, why didn't the guy cash the check? I thought the whole thing was over. I wasn't going to take his money if it was over. I didn't know if I was ever going back to Pueblo. So when I got back, I had the check and said, hey, that was the right thing to do, by the way. It showed credibility. I didn't cash your check because I didn't know if I was going to be able to come back. Is it okay to cash the check? And I didn't know if he was going to let me or not.
Right.
And so I thought going into this thing from the get-go was scary, but I didn't know how painful it was going to be. Going back was even more scary because now I knew what it felt like to be there. The first time I didn't know what it was like. If you've ever if you ever had something physically hit you or you've been hurt by something, the first time you don't know it's going to hurt. But if I tell you the second time, hey, I'm getting ready to do that same thing to you again, now you're prepared for it and it hurts even more mentally. Like, so going back to Pueblo was very difficult. I didn't know if he was going to let me keep the money. I didn't know if we had a relationship. I didn't know if we were going to have a partnership. I didn't know if he lost enthusiasm. I didn't know if his business was even working anymore, because in the interim between when I left and when I went back, I never was able to talk to him.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Seriously. And it's been hard because when you did go back, the Suburban sold, the Jeep's not available anymore. The RV is gone. And yeah, it was rough. I think at that point, you're perhaps, the most disadvantaged of everyone on the show. I mean, that's what I thought for sure.
Well,
And,
I started before COVID and then COVID interrupted me. Their shows started way after COVID.
oh, right. Okay. I had no idea about that.
So it looks like when you're watching, oh, they all started at the same time. That's not true. They started in like October when they were shooting their shows. I was shooting mine in February before
Right. I
COVID.
know we don't have much time, so I'll ask maybe two more questions and then we'll end this. So this is a question that I had. So Matt from Snap, right, and Ryan from the RV Place are now global celebrities, right? Because of what they did for you, they're like big, and I see them a lot on Insta and stuff. But I think at the time it was pretty generous for them to extend their hand of friendship, to show their generosity. And I know you're a really generous person, yourself. You always have been. So how are you, like giving back or rewarding, the generosity that they showed towards you on the show?
Yeah. So, these guys are going to be friends of mine for life. Ryan Zabukovic people have just beat him up for like, how did you not know that was Grant Cardone in your life? Had he known who I was, he wouldn't have been on the TV show.
Right.
Matt Smith, people are like, how did you not know that was him? Well, they didn't know me.
Correct.
And I did a good job of acting like Lewis Curtis. And I also did a good job of staying away from people. So those guys are going to both be friends of mine for life. I know their families now. We'll be doing business together for years. The thing that you don't see in the show is it's unfortunate. I was there 2,100 hours, and you're only going to see like 150 minutes or something. But I wanted to buy Zabuk. I wanted to be a partner with this Zabukovic. He was my first choice because I thought I could make a lot of money with that RV, his business.
Right.
And there was another RV business in town that was failing. I wanted to buy his and the other one. And I was never able to pull that off because I don't think he's interested in growing like that as a business. But we'll be friends. We can be friends and not do business.
Awesome. Agreed 100%. So, COVID's been very, very brutal to the people of India. And I know this is going to go out to everyone. I'm going to put it out everywhere. And of course, we'll have, a lot of people hear this. Our economy was the worst hit. I mean, we were 29% down when COVID was at its peak in terms of GDP. And there's a lot of people out there who are broken. There are a lot of people who are very, very, disheartened. What would be your advice to the people of India who are smashed and bashed and they just don't know how they're going to come out of this one? So what's your advice to them?
Look, you can be broke, but don't be broken.
Yeah.
And take everything away from it. My money, my success, my name. As long as I have courage and a commitment and a strategy, I'm going to be good. So India, I would just tell you, get your courage back. Okay. Get your creativity back. Get your commitment to success back. You live in a great country at a great time. It's going to be the biggest middle class built in the history of the world. It's happening right now. It's going to go through bumps, and the bumps and the lumps and the smashed and the bashed means you need to get on your dash. So hang on one second. And so, you got to figure out how you're going to get where you want to get. And you need to make success your duty and your obligation, not an option. Right. There is a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And where there's a strategy, where you have specific strategy. Business is very, very simple. Who's got my money? Who's got it? Who can do business with me? Who can I spend time with? How can you improve the circle of people that you're hanging with?
Right.
And if you want to change your conditions, change your conditions. So I can't wait to come to India. I can't wait to be part of the the renaissance that's going to happen in India, and the movement that's not going to just improve the quality of India and the millions and hundreds of millions of people in that country. It's also going to change conditions around the world. So I can't wait to do something with you and the people of India. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you are, how easy is it to get Discovery Plus there?
Oh, very easy. So they're only charging $2.99, which is like $4. And so everyone I'm speaking to, I'm like, get the app. I'm like, kids, I'm like, get the app. I'm like, they're like, my kids are really small. I'm like, get your kids to watch this. I'm like, even if your kids are 10, get them to watch this. This is the education you want them to get, not Iron Man on Disney Plus, right? You want Discovery and you want Undercover Billionaire. And I'm like, the sooner you start them, the better education it's going to be for them.
You know, and that's a good point, you know, because that's what the Asians have done for years. You know, the East Asians is they educate their kids on finance and money and the parts of business. Right. And if people would spend less time, have their kids spend less time with Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and you know, comics, and spend more time learning, how do I build a business, construct a business? How do I learn about cash flow? How do I make contacts? How do I communicate with people? How do I build a strategy? Look, there's no country that's going to affect this planet more than India. And I truly, truly believe that.
100%. Thank you so much for doing this. I know we overshot. We had 15 minutes and we've done like 25, but I really appreciate you, Grant.
Hey, appreciate you. I love you over here. We're big fans of yours, and I look forward to coming out there and doing more things with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And namaste. Bye-bye.